high-tech innovation. And today we're going to look at the only app you will ever need to have your business become magnetic and consistently successfully attract a steady, ever-increasing flow of customers. Welcome to Leadership and Loyalty Tips for Executives, part of the full Monty Leadership Interview Series. I'm your host, Dov Barron, founder of Full Monty Leadership. If you're a new listener, a new viewer, thank you for joining us. Strap yourself in. We're about to go full Monty. If you're a regular, big thank you to you for making us the #1 podcast in the Fortune 500 Human Resources and Family Business Next Gen Leadership categories. Appreciate that. Thank you for sharing the show with everybody that you know. Remember, as always, we need your help to stay relevant. So please go to iTunes, rate, review, and subscribe to the show. All right, let's strip it down and dive in. Do you find yourself wondering how certain businesses seem to have this sort of never-ending flow of new customers without having a multi-million-dollar marketing budget? As many of you know, I've been in the speaking world for more than 30 years. I have watched superstars and snake oil salesmen, saleswomen come and go. However, I've also seen those speakers who define a market, speakers who are consistent, congruent, genuine, experts in their field. My guest today is one of those guys. It's somebody I got to know, got to meet, hang out with in Arizona, I think 3 or 4 years ago. Yep. He is, of all things, he is all those things. He is genuine, authentic. He's an innovative speaker, a leading business author, a consultant whose client list reads like the who's who of business, ranging from Coca-Cola, Verizon, Cadillac, American Express. He works with small and mid-sized businesses, including franchises, medical practices, law firms, a whole bunch of great different outlets. Joe Calloway is the executive in residence at Belmont University Center for Entrepreneurship. He is the director of business development for Gilson Boards, which is a snowboard company out of Pennsylvania. Who knew Pennsylvania snowboards? But there you go. Joe Calloway is the author of Being the Best at What Matters Most and 5 other groundbreaking business books, including one of my favorite books, Becoming a Category of One, for which he received rave reviews from New York Times and so many other outlets. His newest book is called Magnetic. Here it is, Magnetic. Great book. It's called Magnetic and the Art of Attracting Business. So please put your hands together and welcome a fine Southern gentleman, speaker extraordinaire, and a man I'm honored to call friend, Mr. Joe Calloway. Woo! Crowd goes wild. Joe.
Dov, kind words, high praise. Thank you, my friend. It's my pleasure to be with you always.
Thank you for dressing up for the occasion.
Hey, it's snowy here. I've been out in the snow all morning. Now I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. Come on, give me some snow day attire.
I tell you, it's nice.
Latitude.
It's nice and warm here on the west coast of Canada.
Well, go figure.
This is the thing. When I go to the States, people go, "Oh, it must be cold up there." No, it's warmer where we are. Warmer.
It's that Pacific Ocean effect. I'm telling you, it keeps you warm.
That's what it is. You've actually got snow. See, in my head, I don't associate that southern accent with snow.
It is 22 degrees Fahrenheit right outside that window.
That is nippy, buddy. That is nippy.
Chilly. I like it.
So tell us, mate, what is, tell our listeners of yours, where can we find this app that is the only app they'll need to making their business magnetic? That's going to give them this constant flow of customers. And by the way, is it available on the App Store for 99 cents?
Yeah, here's the deal. The app is a lot of hard work and really smart strategy and tremendous focus and intention. That's the app.
Oh, damn.
I know, yeah.
Downer, mate.
Yeah, ain't that a bitch? Here's the thing. Every now and then somebody will say, I literally, Dov, had somebody say this before a speech not too long ago. He said, I'm waiting to hear your secrets of success. And I said, I'm sorry, I've never heard a secret of success in my life. There are things that work. Everybody pretty much knows what they are. It's a matter of whether you choose to do them or not. it's as our friend Larry Winget would say, that's why they call it work.
Yeah, but it is a four-letter word, so let's not forget that.
That's true.
And I think a lot of people look at it that way. I mean, I think that in the market that we're in the time that we're in, you know, where there is an app for everything and there is social media and those things, I think that a lot of people, again, because of the media, we believe in the overnight success more than ever.
Yeah.
And I think it's because, you know, we have overnight billionaires, but what we forget is there's four. You know, 7.5 billion people on the planet.
Right.
And there's four instant billionaires. Okay, that's really a very, very thin wedge. And if you're banking on that, you're pretty much dead in the water. I think we forget that it's the wood.
We do. But you know what? There's a lot, I mean a lot, of millionaires, multimillionaires, and multimillionaires who have made it happen in a reasonable amount of time.
Sure.
But there's not what I would call a shortcut. You've got to put in the work, and you got to be smart, and you've got to be willing to fail, because that's just part of it. That's just part of the mix. It's almost become a cliche, but it's very, very true. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, and the entrepreneurial mindset says, I'm going to try a lot of things on my way to success. Some of them are not going to work. But you always get information. You always get information when something fails. So it's part of the process.
Now, who was it who said that there's no such thing as failure, it's only feedback? I think that's a great...
Yeah, I don't know, but that's true. Yeah. It's information. Yeah. And so you use it and you go on to the next step.
Okay, walk us through some of this.
Okay.
Again, I want to recommend this book to everybody. Great book. And by the way, all of Joe's books are great. They really are. You know, like becoming a category of one, as you know, you were on the show where we spoke about that before, and you know, and doing what matters most. You know, for me, at least. These were one of the things I like about you as a person, Joe. You know, outside, and it's what I like about you as a speaker and as a writer is it's not fancy shit. It's like it's like you want to be in a category of one. Do what you need to do. And then as your next book, do what matters most. Stop trying to be fancy. Do what matters most. It is, you know, tell us about Magnetic. How is that different, or is that what is that?
Well, it certainly builds on that same foundation of that it does not have to be complicated. That in fact, I've come up with a phrase that I think kind of explains that part of my philosophy, which is complicated gets in the way, simple gets it done. And I tell you, this has been very interesting to me, Dov. In the different clients that I work with, when I talk to somebody who's struggling, they will tend to say, Joe, you got to understand this is a very, very complicated business. And when I talk to somebody who's making it, who's successful, it's working, they will tend to say, Joe, you know, at the end of the day, this is really a fairly simple business. And it doesn't matter what the business is. No. So Magnetic is a simple approach. And here it is in a nutshell. What is it in today's marketplace that will drive business to you, that will bring it to you so you're not having to go out and metaphorically knock on doors all day? Right. But the business is coming to you, knocking on your door. Well, there's one way that's happening far and above anything else, and that's when your existing customers drive business to you. Forbes magazine put it this way, and it's a very succinct way of putting it. They said that personal recommendations, positive word of mouth, is by far the most powerful factor in buying decisions. And here's what I would challenge your audience to think about. If you have considered making a purchase, whether it's for a product, a hotel that you're going to stay in, a professional service, an accountant, whatever, certainly you want to ask your friends, but beyond that, every single one of them have opened up their laptop or sat down in front of their computer and they've gone online to see what other people think about it. That's the new, as one organization called it, that's the new customer moment of truth. When you go online and you start pulling up reviews, comments, what other people have said about it. For example, on Yelp, on a review site, if you go online, you're thinking about doing business with a company, and you see that it's gotten 180 reviews and the average is a 5-star review, you go, okay, I'm halfway there. Let me see what it's saying. If, on the other hand, it averages 1.5 stars, it's over. You stop looking. You say, and I'm moving on to the next one. If they're that bad, I'm not going to look any further. So then the idea is, all right, how do you get those kinds of recommendations? And that comes back to being incredibly focused. And here's the key. Being incredibly focused on a simple way to create customer experiences that drive those customer recommendations. The way I approach it is this. I asked the question, what are the 3 things that if you get those 3 things right every single time, all day long with every customer, you will be solid gold. And the thing is, Dov, the 3 things are going to be different for everybody. But any business can boil it down to what are the 3 things that I need to get right every time. And that's it. That's the formula. And I've seen it work over. The book has got example after example after example from lots of different perspectives on how it works and how powerful it is.
So when you say what are the 3 things, and as you said, it's different in every single business, we come back to the piece of what you started at the beginning, which is the person who says, but it's very complicated, and another person says it's very simple. I think both of those are true, though. I think it's very simple once you work out what the 3 things are. But until you work out the 3 things, it's very complicated. And I think what you're saying is powerful and important. But I think that the challenge becomes particularly for a small business person, is how do I work out what those 3 freaking things are? Because because I'm on social media, I get this kind of feedback. I talk to this person, I get that kind of feedback. I talk to that person, I get this kind of so those 3 things are now 35 things, and I don't know which are the 3 things, really. How do you help them to go, this is how you find the 3 things, your 3 things?
Yeah, I think the most powerful way, the most effective way to do that is to look at it from the customer perspective and say, what are the 3 most fundamental things that my customers value? Let me paint you a couple of pictures.
Yeah.
I work with an international freight company. Yep. Now, logistically, a freight company is like a jigsaw puzzle with 10,000 moving parts. I mean, it's as complicated as a business gets. Right. And the company that I work with, I'll tell you who it is. It's Old Dominion Freight Line. Right. Here's what they boiled it down to, Dov. Think about this. You've got this extraordinarily complicated business, and they've said, wait a minute. There's 3 things that if we do this better than our competitors, we win. Number 1, and I love their language. There is 0 corporate speak in this. Number 1, pick it up when you said you would. Number 2, deliver it when you said you would. Number 3, deliver it intact and all there. So you've got this international company that is driven by 3 things. And of course, there are hundreds of things that are important, but the mindset is, well, wait a minute. We've got to nail these 3 things every time. And any business can do that. Let me tell you what my 3 are.
Sure, please.
Number 1, product quality and improvement. I am darn near obsessed with that. I work all day long. Up until you and I started having this conversation, I have spent because I get up early every morning. I get up at 5 o'clock. So I've spent the last 6 hours working on the couple of presentations I'm going to do next week.
Right.
Well, they're topics that I've done 100 times, but I can always make it better. And that's what I work on, because in my business, and I would submit in any business, what drives new business is the quality of what you do for today's customer. So I'm obsessed with product quality and improvement. Number 2, be incredibly easy to work with. That has been such a tiebreaker for me. I mean, because Dob, there's a million people that do what I do, and a whole lot of them are really, really good at it. I mean, really good at it. So a tiebreaker for me is to be just as easy as I can possibly be to do business with. Now, I would defy anybody listening to this interview right now to tell me that that's not important in their market. If the market decides that you are the easiest to do business with, oh my gosh, you talk about a competitive advantage. In today's, it's huge. It's huge.
And again, it's so basic. I mean, I think about, I actually was consulting with a client recently who is a branding marketing person. They have a company, and they were working with 7-Eleven. They were helping 7-Eleven. Now, everybody knows 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
And they're asking me questions, because I'm helping them I'm doing part of their job for them, but I'm helping them, right? And I said, they're saying, why do people go to 7-Eleven? I go, for the fresh hot dogs. Of course, there's no such thing, right? I said, you don't understand. People don't go to 7-Eleven for anything other than convenience.
It's easy.
They are easy to, quote, use your term, they are easy to work with. I am drunk and it's 2 a.m. and I want a hot dog. I'm not looking for high quality. I want it now.
Let's expand the list. Think about. I'm telling you, this is a huge deal. I will ask a lot of my audiences. I'll say, "What's your favorite company in the world?" You know the number one answer, Apple.
Yeah.
And so then I say, "Okay, how many of you are Apple customers?" Half the room, 3/4 of the room, raise their hand. Yeah. I'll say, "Give me a word that describes Apple products, the Apple Store." And the words that always come up are simple, easy to use. Their products are intuitive. Yeah. They are so easy to use. Second favorite company, Amazon. And so I ask the question, how many of you are Amazon Prime members? I am. Hands go up all over the room. And I say, how easy does Amazon make it to spend money? I mean, you're just thumbing through the site and going, that looks good, boom, bought it. That looks good, boom, bought it. The third example that comes up a lot is Google. Well, Google's whole premise is to make the internet easier to use. Yeah. You want a takeaway? Go back and look at every single aspect of what you do. Make yourself easier to do business. So back to my list, number 3, for me, is immediate response to customers, prospective customers, and business partners. Mm-hmm. That's a big deal. I'll see companies where somebody will get a message from a customer and they'll go, oh, that's pretty important. I need to get to that later, and they'll set it aside. And I say, what are you doing that is more important than responding to a customer? Even if it's just to say, hey, I got your message, I'm on it. I'll get back with you tomorrow with the complete answer. Right. It's as a matter of fact, there's an entire chapter in the book, Magnetic, and I think it's called The Amazing, Simple, Overlooked Competitive Advantage. And it is immediate response. Yeah. But I'm telling you, everybody watching this interview, if you can boil it down to 3 things that are your competitive advantages, and you focus on those 3 things all day long, every day, it's powerful beyond what you can imagine. And the trick is, go ahead. You go ahead.
The trick is?
Well, I was just going to say, a lot of people say, no, that's too simple. That won't work for me. No, that's why it works. Yeah, exactly. Because it's not complicated. The master of simplicity was Steve Jobs. Mm-hmm. Steve Jobs said, simplicity and focus have become my mantras. Yeah. He said it takes a lot of really hard work to get your thinking clean enough to make things simple, but it's worth the work because if you can make things simple, you can move mountains. And I believe that with all my heart.
Well, as Einstein said, if you can't explain it to a 4-year-old, it's too complicated and you don't understand it.
Yeah, Da Vinci said that simplicity is the ultimate sophistication.
Absolutely, and and I think that is. I genuinely think if you, I think that I consider myself a bright person, and I think that sometimes is the disadvantage is the overthinking, the complexity, making things too complex that are very simple. And this is part of the reason you and I have had conversations like this. Why I am a mentor. I guide and mentor very successful people, and I help them to boil down simple stuff. But guess what? Yeah. I need mentors because exactly.
Oh my gosh, I can take the simplest idea in the world and overcomplicate it in the blink of an eye.
Absolutely. Yeah, me and you both. And I've reached out to you and go, yeah, look what this is like. Well, what's the simplicity of it? Oh, shit. Of course that's the answer. Damn. But hold on a minute, Joe. I'm really enjoying this complication. Can you just let me masticate on this complication for a couple more hours?
Yeah. That really is a key, though, is focus. Hey, let me tell you, it kind of ties into this. My current favorite quote. This has been my favorite idea for a couple of years now, and it comes from none other than Warren Buffett. One of the richest guys on the planet. And Buffett said this, and it sounds very counterintuitive, but think about it. Buffett said the difference between successful people and very successful people is that very successful people say no to almost everything. What he was talking about is very successful people are very focused. I really have to work hard at saying no because my tendency is to want to say yes to everything, to appointments, to phone calls, to new projects. Oh my God, nobody loves the next idea more than me.
Well, I can test you on that.
Listen, if you and I ever actually go in business together, it would just be a train wreck.
Well, we just need a third person who goes,
exactly.
Focus now.
Yeah. But I'm telling you, if people are looking for great business advice, you can't do much better than focus.
Right.
Focus right now. What's the most important thing that I can do for my customers and do it day in and day out? Now, the thing is, some people would say, well, I don't know, that sounds pretty basic, but that's where you win. And to win on the basics, though, you have to constantly innovate. You have to constantly improve because the basics, the definition of what is basic constantly changes. It always moves forward because expectations always get higher. But I'm telling you, if you can't focus, you've got a real problem. You've got a real challenge in business.
Well, Daniel Goleman, who wrote Emotional Intelligence and a bunch of other books around emotional intelligence, wrote another book called Focus, and he talked about how that was the key principle needed in success, in the ability to focus.
Yeah.
And at the same time, for people like me and maybe you too, I'm a high creative. So I need a lot of stimulus. I like a lot of stimulus. I like all those things. But I had to train myself to be incredibly focused, and I taught myself to meditate when I was a kid, to be focused, so that I know that I can have both. I can have this explosive, creative, and all these a million different ideas. But like as an example, when I sit down with a client, that's the only person in the world. Nobody else exists. It doesn't matter if the house is on fire. In my case, literally. But it doesn't matter what's going on. It's like, this is what that's the focus. And as a result, I don't even take a note. People say to me, how come you don't take any notes? 10 years, I'm bringing up stuff we talked about 10 years ago. It's all there. That's what focus gives you. But you've also got to allow yourself the creativity. But I think what you're saying is really important, is you've got to know what to focus on. And that's the key piece. And for you, what you're saying here is like, what have you got to focus on that's of the greatest value to the people you serve, your customers?
Let me give you a great way to think about getting to that.
Yeah.
Okay, what is most important? It's a story. There was actually a book written about this. The 2000 Sydney Olympics, Sydney, Australia Summer Olympics. Great Britain had entered an 8-man rowing team,
Mm-hmm.
and this rowing team wanted to win the gold medal, and they knew they had to be much better to win the gold medal. So they went through a 2 or 3 year process where they had a filter for every decision they made. Here's the filter, Dov. Will it make the boat go faster? Think about it. Everything. What should we eat? How should we sleep? What equipment should we use? How should we train? Everything went through the filter of, will it make the boat go faster? That's the name of the book, by the way. I highly recommend it. Will It Make the Boat Go Faster? Written by one of the guys that was on that team. I've given that to a ton of my clients. I got an email this morning from a session I did with about probably 18 business owners week before last. One of them wrote me this morning. He said, I'm telling you, that idea of will it make the boat go faster has helped me so much to get focused on what really matters. He said it's changing the way I'm thinking about my business. It's a simple, powerful way to think about it. Just that idea.
Yeah.
Will it make the boat go faster? It's strong stuff.
In the work that I do with my clients, one of the things that I ask is, what is your primary question?
Yeah.
And that's the same thing. Is what is the primary question
It is.
for what it is that you do? What's the primary question for you to serve, and what's the primary question they're asking, which brings us back to, well, what do they see value in? Because I think this is the other thing is I think that in business, not just in our business, but in business and the people that you and I serve, one of the things that I constantly bump into is something that I call assumptive value. An assumptive value means I'm making up what they value.
Yes.
And it's a huge freaking mistake every single time for me to assume. Now, I'll get that, because I get this back as feedback. Well, Steve Jobs didn't do that. Steve Jobs did do assumptive value. He assumed that the world needed this, and we didn't even know we needed it, and he was absolutely right. Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Are you Steve Jobs? No.
Exactly.
Shut up and find out. Get away from the assumptive value. Ask the question. And I've done it myself. I've assumed this is what they want.
Hey, and not only that, it's funny, I talk about that in Magnetic. The other thing that we do, oh my gosh, I've done it. We'll come up with an idea and we'll tell our friends about it.
Mistake.
And our friends all say, oh my God, that's brilliant. Dov, you got to run with that. It's the best idea in the world. We will even tell some of our customers about it, and they'll say, I think that's a great idea. There's a big, big, big difference between people saying that's a great idea and somebody giving you their credit card number. A big difference between friendly encouragement and somebody actually buying it.
Yeah.
And so many of us, I talk about that exact thing. I use different words. I don't call it assumptive value, but that's the perfect description of it.
Yeah.
We think, oh, I think my customers will all want this. I've done it myself. I've rolled out things. I've put it on the website and waited for the orders to come in. Turns out I was the only person on the planet that actually thought it was a good idea in terms of value.
That's it.
Theoretically, it was terrific.
Yeah. Theoretically, it's a great idea.
Yeah.
But if they, as you know, the final qualification of whether they value it is, will they give you their credit card? And if the answer is no, then the idea sucks. Sorry.
Yeah.
It may be brilliant. It may be brilliant 5 years from now, but right now, in this moment, it sucks. So you can't. I mean, and I think that in our enthusiasm, in our passion, it's very easy to get sucked into that idea of assumptive value, of going, I know they will, like, I'm excited about this. And everybody, I talked to my friend Joe, I talked to my friend Bob, I talked to my friend Sam, I talked to my clients, these people that are stuff, people who buy from me, and they all said it's a great idea. And what you said there, I think, is the thing. Would you buy it?
Yeah,
Would you
exactly.
put a deposit on it today? If
Big
I asked
difference.
you for your credit card and said, will you put $100 down, would you put $100 down? Well, not right now. Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's the qualification. And I think that's really key.
You know, it's funny. People, but every now and then somebody will ask me, say, what is the fundamental element in business success? My answer is value. Are you creating value? It, David, always comes back to value. It always, always, always. And so what I'm getting better at, finally, is how can I create the highest and best value for my client, for my customer in this moment? Value keeps me on track. Value keeps me in line. Value always brings me back to doing those things that I should be doing.
So again,
So
let's take that and hit that one on the head a minute, because okay, so how can I create greater value for my customer, my client, whatever it is? Okay, great. How do I find that out? How do I, because we're back to this piece of the, and this is the nuance of it for me at least, is it's somewhere between the Steve Jobs and the feedback loop.
yeah.
That sometimes they don't know what they value until they get it.
Yep.
Sometimes they do know what they value, but it's not clear enough. How do you get to, you're there to serve, in your case as a speaker, as a guide in what it is you're doing and helping people grow their businesses.
And I agree. There is that balance. Let me tell you what works for me.
Right.
What works for me is for me to absolutely maximize my understanding of my customer and what it is they're trying to achieve, what opportunity they're trying to create, what problem they're trying to solve, whatever it is. One of my favorite things that a client ever said to me, he was the CEO of a 20,000 employee financial services company. I was sitting in his office and he said, "Here's the reason we do so much business with you." His exact words were, he said, "You get us.
Right.
You get it. You get where we're trying to go. And you come up." Now, here's where the other part, here's where the creativity comes in. He says, "You come up with ideas that we've never thought of to help us get there. But the key is I understand where it is they're trying to go." Listen, I've said for a long, long time, if I could have one competitive advantage over just about any other out there, it would be let me understand the customer better than anybody else.
Yep.
Because when I combine my understanding of what it is they're truly trying to accomplish, like I'm talking about the drunk at 2:00 in the morning that needs a hot dog. If I understand his or her situation better than anybody else, then I can create the value for them. So it is a combination of understanding the customer's needs and wants, but bringing your creativity, your expertise, your skill to that in such a way that sometimes they go, "Wow, I've never thought of that, but I see the value in it."
Right. So for somebody watching this, listening to this, who is a small business person, and they're going, this is brilliant because it's basic, because it's, it's on the nose, it's direct. How do I get to understand my customer better? How do I get to find out where it is they're going, what it is they really want, and what's the pain that they're trying to solve? How do I actually find that out? Because the people I actually want to ask are the people who are not my customers yet. They're the ones I want to bring in. They're the ones that I'm looking to move towards.
Well, I think that one big disconnect is for a lot of business people is that we have this in-depth understanding of what we do.
Yes.
But we don't have anywhere near the necessary understanding of who our existing or even prospective customers are truly and what they want. Right. Let me give you two perspectives. One, me, business to business. Right. This morning, I've set up 2 meetings with, one is a prospect, one is somebody that's already signed up. One is going to be in person because they happen to be here in Nashville, which is a great luxury. The other one is going to be, we've blocked out an hour for me to talk to them just like you do, just like anybody in business to business, you've got to understand what it is that they're trying to accomplish. You know, I was working with a B2B company, a huge international company a few years ago. They did an in-depth survey of what their clients wanted. Their assumption going in was the big differentiator is price. Turns out that their customers, the big differentiators were delivery slash reliability, and then two, service.
Right.
And they all said, no, we'll pay more if your delivery is reliable. One of my biggest customers was a national North American, or international, but North American retailer. And they were absolute believers in testing. Well, here's a product. How do we know? They said, let's take 20 of our 1,500 stores. Let's put it on the shelves. Let's test it.
Yep.
And so, there's lots of ways to find out. I think the necessary ingredient is that you have to be intentional about actually doing it, about doing the work. And it takes a lot of work to understand your market and to understand your customers. And it's not always the fun work.
No, and again, it's back to, it's easier to assume the value. It's far easier to go, I know that they want this. Really? Well, yeah, how do you know? Well, we did some stuff on that 3 years ago. Then you're outdated.
Well, listen, one of the things that I'm constantly asking my clients, they'll say, oh, we know our customers. And I say, whoa, wait a minute. Do you know that customer today, or do you know them from 3 years ago or a year ago? Yeah. Because their world has changed in the last month, much less the last year. And I don't care whether you are business to business, whether you are retail, your customers' worlds are constantly changing. And if you think you can go to the marketplace based on what you knew about them a year ago, you're a year too late.
Yeah.
It's a moving target.
Yeah. If you were to give a sort of final, I'm going to punch in the nose, like, here's what you just got to do to create a magnetic situation here where you have inbound customers as opposed to constantly getting out there. And you still got to do that too, but if you were getting, like, this is what you got to do, aside from get the book, and I do want to say to all of our listeners and viewers, get this book. Actually, that's not true. Get all of Joe's books. They're all excellent. But if you were going to give them that and say, okay, got to boil it down, this is what you got to do, what would it be?
Let's work backwards from the customer. Very simple. After someone does business with you, what do you want them to say about it to somebody else?
Very good.
What do you want them to say about you and about the experience and the value of doing business with you to someone else? Once you identify that, work backwards, and I'll go back to, so what are the three things that you have to do extremely well to get that customer to say that thing that you want them to say about you to other people? There.
Brilliant, mate. Brilliant. That's it. That, that is it. What do you want them to say to other people? Because the ultimate marketing machine, as we started out right at the beginning, it is the word of mouth of a customer giving a recommendation, whether that's online or in person. So if you start there, what do I want them to say? What do I want them to say? And I think that, in a clarification of that, because you and I have had conversations about this also with our friend Larry, is I think you've got to be willing to have them say something that's a little bit edgy, like that becomes a point of distinction.
Yeah.
And in cases like myself or even Larry, that might be a little brash, but in yours, it's like, it doesn't have to be that, but it is controversial in that, I think what you're saying is very controversial, because what you're saying is the best technology is no technology. The best technology is get off your ass and do the work.
Yeah.
That's kind of like,
of course, you use technology, but it doesn't do the work for you. It doesn't do the work for you. The hard stuff, I'm sorry, the hard stuff you have to do.
Yeah, and that's why I started out by saying there's this one app, and I mean, it was obviously making fun, right? Because I mean, if you started watching the show, oh, there's this app. Oh my God, this is great. We got to watch this.
One of the things that I write about in the book is people that say to me, Joe, I've got this great idea, and I say, who's going to buy it? Where's your market? And they say, I'm going to roll it out on the internet. And that's it. That's your marketing plan. You're going to roll it out on the internet. It's one of those pipe dreams. Well, it all comes down to value, buddy.
It does. Listen, mate, it's been awesome having you on the show. As always, you rock, and you give great value.
Thank you.
You do. You always give great value. And again, I want to recommend the book and everything you do. Please tell our viewers, our listeners, where they can find out more about you, about this book, and where they can hire you to come in and work with their organization.
We've got a ton of stuff on the website, which is my name, joecalloway.com. Calloway is Calloway. You can order the book there through Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, whoever you want. We've got 21 free short videos that you can download for free. Go all the way to the bottom of the videos page. There they are. We got a crazy good blog. There's a bunch of good stuff on there. So joecalloway.com.
There's great stuff, and it's also tied to that Five Guys thing.
Yeah, we put the Five Guys blog up on my blog whenever it comes out.
But for those of you who don't know what that is, that's
the Five Friends.
It's Five Friends. So it's Joe Calloway, Larry Wingert, Mark Sanborn, Scott McCain, and
Randy Pennington.
The five of you, and they talk about their world and what it is. And actually, I just commented on your last one, which was the worst experience as a speaker, because if you are a speaker, by the way, folks, if you're a speaker, you got to go watch this video, because at the worst, it will make you go, okay, it's not just me.
Exactly. And listen, that can be very comforting in this business.
It certainly can.
But you know what? We talk about just business, not just our business. We also talk about business. But the one we just put up is a lot of fun.
Yeah, there's lots of great business pieces in there for everybody, and I think it's very valuable stuff. But I personally got value out of the last one because, because I have worked with a drunk audience, and
we all have.
We've all done that, and we've all done gigs that we go, oh no, why did I say yes to this one? It takes a while for you to go, like you said, no.
McCain might have won the prize on this one. He was heckled by a nun.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
That's pretty good.
That was fabulous. Who's the heckler? The lady in the penguin suit.
The nun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Joe, it's been awesome being here with you, mate. Thank you so much again. Always great talking to you. Look forward to seeing you soon in person again, really soon, I do hope. My best to you and your family. Thank you for joining us. And for you, dear listener, dear viewer, if you are truly serious about embracing the kind of positive disruption that builds a culture that has fiercely loyal employees who not only lead but also become evangelical about your organization while generating that 10x engagement that you need for productivity, reach out to me through fullmontyleadership.com. Again, my name is Dov Barron, fullmontyleadership.com. Thank you for joining us here at Leadership and Loyalty Tips for Executives, part of the Full Monty Leadership interview series. I want to again thank our guest, Mr. Joe Calloway. Thank you, Jack. It was just really great. Thank you so much, Joe. And again,
thanks,
for
Tom.
you, remember to go share the show with everybody you know. Get over to iTunes, rate, review, and subscribe to the show. Until next time, this is Dov Barron saying